I'm now going to show you some of the basic equipment that you will need to make your own bitter medicines, formulas, potions, remedies. So here I have a selection. There are a few more, but let's start with a good knife. You want a knife to be able to cut the herbs so you can break them down into smaller parts when you're making a tincture, for example. You're going to need various spoons for measuring out powders, dried herbs, mixing different formulas together. You're going to need various spoons. You're going to need a sieve. This is a small sieve that can be used in a small jar, but you need a larger sieve as well for sieving the material from a tincture out of the actual tincture itself, when you're separating the dried material after the tincture has been made. And next you're going to need some various measures. Here we have a quarter of a cup, a third of a cup. This is a small alcohol measuring cup. It goes up to 35 mils, so it's handy for measuring small amounts of tincture that you're mixing when you're making bitters. So that's a 35 mil measure. I have various other measuring jugs and jars and containers. This is a very handy one. I use it a lot when I'm mixing tinctures, but also can be used for when you're making formulas. You're going to need some storage jars, storage bottles. These are the amber ones. So amber protects the medicinal herbal medicine from going off and ensures it lasts longer. That's a 300 mil, 200 mil and 50 mil. Also a dropper, which is great for when you're trying to add small amounts of herb to your drinks, to your teas. It's about, I think, about 20 mils in that dropper. Also, I use it to drop herbs onto the tongue when you're trying to just really get the taste of the bitter, to get that bitter experience that we talked about before. I also have a nice amber storage jar. Again, nice for using for storing herbs. A recycled clear glass bottle for storing various formulas. Maybe in the press out of direct light. Some storage jars for making tinctures, and also for storing herbs. A small mason jar. I use a lot of larger mason jars. They're handy, they're well sealed, great for making tinctures. You're going to need some labels. I have some ones I made here myself, I designed myself. I use them for some plain labels. They're just to mark what you made, because it's easy to forget and you want to remember the date that you made the formula, the date that you started making the tincture, the date that you bottled the formula, what is the formula, what's the name of the herb, and so forth. So you need labels, because if you're like me, you'll forget easily. I also have a small coffee grinder, which is great for grinding up like gentian root. Comes in a broken root form, gravelly, so it's large grains, and you can break those grains down to increase the surface when you're making a tincture, because you want it powdery, well broken down, so that it absorbs the alcohol, the fluids, and extracts the medicinal value. So that's your grinder. I also have a dehydrator, which I use quite a bit, and the dehydrator is great for dehydrating herbs, because you can store them. Once you can store them, they can last for whatever period of time you need them for. Generally, when you're making tinctures, I like to dry the herb, take some of the moisture out, so you get the real essence, the real material, the real qualities that you're looking for. But we'll talk about that more when we're talking about making tinctures. So that's your basic equipment. I'll also leave resources in the link to this lesson, books that you can use, and books that I recommend. See you in the next lesson.